What's up, creepers? Welcome to Phin and Bryn Spoops.
I'm Bryn.
And I'm Phin.
And today we're going to go further into Insidious 2, directed by James Wan. So this was directed by James Wan again, and Leigh Whannell was behind writing it again. Before we catch up with the Lamberts, this movie starts in 1986, showing Josh's backstory, and then it puts us back into the present again. I'm going to put a trigger warning for transphobia in this. There's some very bad trans representation in this. And I'm very disappointed in Leigh.
It was so good. It was so good.
It didn't need to go that direction, Leigh.
Like,
it didn't need to.
I was ready to give it like a 4, 4.5 solid. No, I give it a 3.
I give 2.5 skulls because I'm sick of poor trans representation in movies. Terrible. 2.5. 2.5 skulls, and I'm mad. Big mad.
Yeah, this big mad time.
Okay, so the movie, this is probably going to be a little bit shorter than our regular ones because we are going to try and jam in the first episode of The Haunting of Bly Manor when this is over, so stick around. If you have started watching Haunting of Bly Manor, which is on Netflix, it came out yesterday, and if you want to watch along with us, we're going to be doing 1 episode a day. So that'll be at the end of this video. You can either fast forward if you don't care about Insidious 2, like I don't, I'm mad.
Then why would they click on this video? Are you going to put like Insidious 2 and Bly Manor?
Maybe, I don't know. That's a big title.
People have bigger titles than that, I've seen.
I don't know. Maybe it'll be a surprise. Maybe it'll be a surprise for some people. But we are going to be catching up with the Lamberts, Josh and Renee, and their 3 kids, Dalton, Foster, and Callie. The movie starts in 1986 when Josh was a kid, 10 or 11. Yeah?
He looked about 10 or 11. Yeah. Same age as Dalton.
Yeah, same age as Dalton. There was some really poor dubbing.
Oh, there's trash.
So this is a flashback from when they talk about in the first movie how when Josh was little, Elise comes over and helps him through the further because he astral projects just like Dalton. He's the one that Dalton inherited that ability from. And Josh's mother.
Can you give me astral projection?
I can't. I gave you the finding skill. You can find things.
That's why Dad should have given me astral projection, then I could find my way back.
So anyways, they talk about it in the first movie about how Lorraine invited Elise into their home to help her son Josh, who was being followed by some kind of old woman spirit in all of his pictures. And so they go back into the 80s and we get to see a young Lorraine and a young Elise. But they overdubbed those actresses with Barbara Hershey and Lynn Shay. I love Barbara Hershey and I love Lynn Shay, but they sound like older women. So when their voices are coming out of these young actresses, it just was so distracting. It was really awful.
Like, you could have just used those actors' voices.
Yeah, because voices change over time.
That's what I said during the movie.
That's why I said it.
You wouldn't let me say it?
Sorry.
She's mean.
So we get to see Lynn Shay, who plays Elise in her younger days, and her partner Carl. Who, I guess, who was helping Lorraine at the beginning, and then he called in Elise, I think it was. And it seemed like he was retired by the time Josh was an adult, because he wasn't helping Elise anymore.
Carl. I keep thinking of Carl from.
So this picks up like immediately. When we check back in with the Lamberts, we are picking up almost immediately after the end of the first movie, where she's in the police department giving her statement about what happened to Elise. Renee is, yeah, after she was choked by the soul that had, or the ghost that had taken over Josh when he came back at the end of Insidious 1.
Which is most likely the old lady person.
Yes. So Elise gets strangled, so of course they can't go home because now their home is a crime scene. So they go and stay with Lorraine, Josh's mom. Barbara Hershey.
They didn't say spoilers now.
They know. If they've been watching our channel long enough, they know we're going to spoil the crap out of it. You can do the countdown.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Boop.
So
Boop.
yes, we're spoiling the crap out of this.
Huzzah. Like,
So
Yeah.
the family of 5 moves in with Lorraine into the house that Josh grew up in, that we saw in the flashback, the 1986 flashback. And Renee's a good wife. She's a little bit freaked out by her husband right now, but still she tells the cops that there's no way that her husband could have done that. She's a loyal woman. So
loyal. But even though she knows there's probably a ghost in
she's still really spooked. Like, she keeps hearing things and
spooky-doo.
yeah, she's really spooked. Josh is acting,
Strange.
I was gonna say normal, but it's normal to us, but probably not normal to his mom and wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. We also catch up with Specs and Tucker, which is
Not normal for him.
Lee Wanell and Angus Simpson, Angus Simpson, I think. Anyways, we catch up with
Nobody
Specs and Tucker, who are still grieving for Elise because it's so fresh. They go to Elise's house to, I think, lock things up, make sure that everything's okay. And Elise's house seems a little haunted.
By her.
I think it's really funny because they need to go into her reading room.
Reading room.
Yeah, she has like a reading room where she does like tarot or
Well, it opens the
stuff.
door. Did she
Yeah.
open the door?
I don't know, something opened the door to
think it was her.
Elise's, but it wasn't her haunting them, it was Parker's mom.
No, because that's later.
Okay. I don't think Elise did it though. Anyways,
Where
the
do you think
door-
Elise was?
I don't know. In the further? Stop getting mad at me.
Oh, I know where she was. She said she was at a better place, remember? And then she came down because she
Okay.
heard Josh or whatever.
So anyways, they don't do paper scissors, rock paper scissors.
Rochambeau.
What do they do, Finn? Hunter Ninja Bear. Hunter Ninja Bear. Bear.
I thought they said hunt a ninja bear.
No, they were doing Hunter Ninja Bear. It must be an Australian thing because both actors are Australian.
Hunter ninja bear.
Specs wins Hunter Ninja Bear, and Tucker has to go in first. And doesn't Tucker fall over a bunch of crap and says something about his nuts?
Yeah. He bumped his nuts. Hurt my nuts today. It hurt.
While they're picking up all the stuff that Tucker knocked over, they find Josh's tape from when he's a kid. And of course, Tucker is very, he doesn't like the framing in it. He says it's very amateurish. And Carl was the one that framed it, so we're mad.
That was great.
So they're gonna watch Josh's tape. Do they watch it like right away? Do we see all of that yet, or?
Yeah.
And then they say, "What's that? Do we see?"
Yeah, there's something in the corner.
They don't
They don't
know
show
They don't
us.
show us yet. But yeah, there is something in the corner from when Josh was
taking
a
off my
kid.
socks.
You are just totally shaking the camera.
My socks are uncomfortable.
I don't care. So Lorraine's tucking their grandma. Lorraine, Josh's mom, is tucking Dalton and Foster into bed. They're playing with a tin can phone.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're playing with like a tin can phone. And when she checks in on them later and they're both asleep, Dalton is talking in his sleep. What does he say?
Is that you, Grandma?
No, he says, Grandma, there's...
No, first he says,
Oh.
is that you, Grandma? It's like, yeah. There's someone behind you.
Yeah, he says, Grandma, there's somebody behind you.
No, he says there's someone behind you. She has.
Okay.
Is that
Okay.
you?
Oh my God, why
I
does it have to
care.
be perfect with you?
I
hate
care.
it. They hate it too. I've gotten people asking why you have to be so literal.
Anger.
So,
Gotta get it right. If we're gonna spoil it, we gotta spoil it right.
So Lorraine takes him seriously.
You betrayed me.
Can we stop fighting, please? I'm serious.
I'm talking about you.
I know.
Betrayed.
Okay.
No, we don't have to fight.
So we had to break for a fight again. Okay, where were we?
Anger.
So Lorraine is spooked by him saying that there's someone, are you happy?
Yes.
Behind her, and she checks the whole house, and what does she find?
I forgot.
Woman in white.
Where?
She's all over the place. Like she sees her behind her in the.
She doesn't see it or behind her.
She sees it once in the mirror, I think. Lorraine does. She sees it in the bathroom mirror.
I think.
Yeah. And that's
Yeah.
once.
They
And
show
then when she opens
later.
the door again, it's Josh standing there.
Yeah. They show later that it's not.
Mm-hmm.
They show later that it was the woman in white behind her because you don't get to. It doesn't show the woman in white behind her.
So there's a confrontation with Josh, and I can't remember what it's about. She mad that he's not.
No, he's mad because he doesn't want her spooking.
Oh yeah, he doesn't want his mother to scare Renee even more. Because Renee obviously wants to move again. That woman wants to move every single time she gets some jumps.
Move.
Dalton's worried about his dad because he says his dad was talking to somebody in the hallway. Do you remember? We got to see Dalton's point of view. He like snuck around the house and he saw Josh before he was talking to his mom.
Talking to himself, or was he?
Yeah, he wasn't probably talking to himself. He was probably talking to the woman in white who we've seen a couple of times now in the house. She's a ghost.
Oh yeah, the piano has been playing.
Yeah, the piano plays.
That's important.
Whenever Renee goes to check it, it stops and she's freaking out. So then they say that, okay, so then the next morning after Dalton wakes up from like a 3-month coma and Elise has been killed and all of this garbage, and he's like, I'm gonna take the boys to school. To school.
Great parenting, you know? Just delicious parenting.
Yeah, that's it's bad. It's really bad.
Been in a coma.
So who does Specs and Tucker show the video to? Do you remember when they to Lorraine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Lorraine comes to Specs and Tucker even though Elise is gone.
Oh yeah, we forgot to do that whole talk about Specs and Tucker talking to, who was that with?
With Lorraine.
Oh, okay. I'm a genius.
So Lorraine shows up and they show her that they've digitized the video that they took when he was little, and they got a much clearer picture because he boosted up the exposure, the light, the brightness on the film. And who do we see in the corner actually talking to Josh? Because Josh, when he was talking, he looked like he was talking to somebody.
He gets up and he's like, I'll show you.
Oh, yeah,
and he
goes,
looks to
"I'll
the
show you," and
side.
he like looks to whoever's talking to him in the corner, but we never got to see who it was.
Josh.
It's grown-up Josh that he's talking to.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness. So we've got some time traveling going on here.
Which I will have to talk about something later.
Okay.
Because I was right about something.
So then the woman in white is while Lorraine is away with Specs and Tucker, the woman in white she's haunting Renee and Callie. Callie's down for her nap again, and we hear it on the baby monitor where you hear the "Don't you do that" and the slap, or
No, she goes upstairs after she hears like talking. She goes upstairs and the door just like snaps closed and she's trying to get it open. You hear, "Don't you dare," and a slap.
and then she goes inside and Callie's not in there. Remember? She can't find Callie, and then we hear Callie's a baby.
Yeah.
We hear Callie crying downstairs.
She runs downstairs.
She runs downstairs and still can't find the baby, and
The woman in white's
the woman in white's there, and
And-
she says,
Don't you dare, and slaps her.
Slaps Renee, and she
Weird
goes
time travel stuff.
flying through the coffee table and knocks herself out. So Lorraine and Specs and Tucker, they decide to call Carl, Elise's old partner, and in order to contact Elise, because Elise is the only one that knows how to find Josh. The real Josh, the one that's still lost in the further. And
Well, not in the further, in the house. Because that's not the further. The further is further out.
I know, but it's still, he still asks for projecting.
Yeah.
Anytime they're asked for projecting, I looked it up and they call it the further. Anytime.
And how do you could watch yourself sleep, but that's not in the further, but then it is the further?
Yeah.
But it's not?
Right. Anytime you're not in your body, you're in the further, apparently.
The further was the dark.
It is. Part of it. So,
Anger.
Carl has a weird way of contacting the dead. What does he use, Phin?
Dice.
With not just regular dice.
Letters.
Yeah, there's letters. Stop putting the microphone.
Baps what microphone? Nice ASMR.
They ask Elise who killed her, and the dice say,
It didn't.
She did. Yeah, she did it.
Was there a name?
Yes, there was, because I wrote it down. And where can we find the ghost, the lady ghost? And she says Our Lady of Angels. And Our Lady of Angels is the hospital that Lorraine used to work at. She was a doctor.
Our Lady of Angles.
Yeah, they said, yeah. Tucker's an idiot.
No, I thought it was Specs.
Was it?
I think. Yeah, it was Specs.
Still mad at you, Lee. So Josh gets home and he finds Renee knocked out from getting backhanded by the lady in white ghost. And he picks her up and he puts her on the couch. And what does he do when he puts her on the couch?
Sniffer. Oh God, that's weird.
He's sniffing her. And Josh is starting to look kind of bad. And that's saying a lot because I think Patrick Wilson is hot. So Josh is starting to fall apart. He's
Like his tooth is coming, his teeth are coming out, he's all pale.
So meanwhile, while they're at home,
oh yeah, his tooth falls out, and the woman is white. Is also he goes and like.
That's after they go to Silent Hill Hospital. Because I've got the Silent Hill Hospital, and then Josh is falling apart. I was writing down the scenes in order.
No, I thought the Josh falling apart is when he's sick, when he's supposedly sick.
Nope. So anyway,
wait, what's after that then? Josh falling apart.
Renee's freaking out and wants to leave again. Because that's what she does.
Fine.
So anyways,
Fine.
They go to this hospital. This hospital you've seen in a million horror movies. They use this hospital all the time for filming. It's in Los Angeles. And they go, it's totally a Silent Hill hospital, I swear. Oh my God, it's so scary. And it's like they walk past like cribs and stuff, and it's just like scary. There's like a baby doll still in there. And they step on it, and it's like, Mama.
No.
And then Carl gets close to this one room, and he's like, "Oh, I'm not going in there. Oh my God, oh my God." He was totally freaked out.
No, he said he
like
yeah, he jumped back. He's like in here. He didn't say he doesn't want to go in there.
Well,
he wants to go in there.
He was scared. He was scared. And he asked Lorraine what it was, and it used to be the ICU ward. And then she has this flashback where she remembers that she had Josh at the hospital, and they went into that ICU ward, and there was an old man in there named Parker Crane.
Parker Crane, yeah.
And she told Josh, he's little, and she told him not to mess with any of the instruments, and he did.
No, he just like brushed his fingers over it.
Still touching. Yeah. And the old man like woke up and started like choking him or
shaking him.
Shaking him. It was just scary. Just scary, scary old man business.
Hair.
And when does she notice that he's a ghost?
So they're in the elevator.
Does that happen right after? Does she remember that?
Yeah. Right, yeah. She's telling them what happened, and
She sees him again the next day or so.
Yeah, in the elevator, and he's like, "Shouldn't you be resting?" And then they make it down, and he just walks off.
Away. And then she asks the nurse, "What's
the front desk?" Yeah, and he died the day before.
So scary.
And obviously,
so Josh is falling. And Parker Crane. They said, "Oh, what was he in here for?" And Parker Crane tried to castrate himself. That's why he was in the ICU. So. So Josh is falling apart. His tooth comes out, and he starts having this argument with somebody in the mirror. Because we know he's the old lady now. He's not really Josh. And he's talking to somebody in the mirror, and he's saying something about
no, you could see them in the
behind him.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's saying mother.
Yeah.
He's getting mad.
And the woman in white behind him is saying that your dead soul is killing the body or whatever.
Your dead soul is killing the living body. Yeah. And what does he have to do to fix that?
Kill Lorraine. Is that her name? Not wait. Lorraine's Renee. Lorraine. Renee. Who cares?
He's married to a Lorraine in The Conjuring. His mom is Lorraine in this. So Renee's freaking out. She wants to move again, and he's just like, "No, we're not doing that again." So Specs and Tucker go to investigate Parker Crane's house because this is where Elise is leading them. Supposedly Elise. And when they get to the Parker Crane's house, it's really scary, and there's like this little girl's room upstairs. I mean, well, there's the dolls, and there's like all these rocking horses, and it's very much a girly kind of room. There's lots of baby dolls, porcelain dolls, stuff like that around.
You're in a dollhouse.
And
no, I remember Tucker, right?
Tucker, yeah. Tucker said he had a dollhouse.
Like, so Specs is like it's a girly room with the dollhouse and stuff, and then Tucker's like, I had a dollhouse. It was fun to have a dollhouse. You could have adventures too. I could take my Lego character and be like, wee.
You're not getting a dollhouse.
Please.
So anyways, the rocking horses start rocking.
Da, 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 da.
What else happens? And then there's the little girl sitting on the bed, and she says, "Don't let her see you, or I have to kill you."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then they're like, okay, and then they just walk out of the room, just like, fair enough. I booped your hand.
Dalton.
What about Dalton?
Oh, okay. And then Dalton's in bed, and he's almost asleep, and he's got the can phones again, and somebody starts whispering to him. Dalton. I can't remember what they said. But he thinks it's Foster who's in the bed next to him. I have to show you something. Yeah, Dalton, I have to show you something.
It's just like, it's an app. You're going to get us in trouble.
He thinks it's his brother who's in the bed next to him, but the other can string leads
to the
closet.
He says, I'm not, what's his brother's name?
I'm not Foster.
I'm not Foster. Foster's down. You're going to get us in trouble. I'm not Foster. and his eyes just like, he looks where the can leads.
So then all of these.
Well, first he goes to.
Does he go to the closet?
No, he sees the closet, and then something starts coming out, and it's like.
Oh, that girl! She starts running out, and she's like crying and stuff.
Yeah, it's like.
Those were the victims. Because we forgot to say that when Spencer and Tucker were
Specs
and Tucker were at the Parker's house, did they find the bodies then or later?
Yes. Yes. Then.
Did they?
Yeah.
No,
because when Josh finds it,
look,
that's later.
There it is down here. So all of these ghosts come out of the closet. All these women ghosts.
He's just like under his thing and freaking out, and they're tearing the sheets, and then his mom wakes him up.
I think he pulls himself back into his own body because he asked her.
Oh yeah. No, he jumps onto his body and covers himself with the blankets, scratching the blankets, and then.
But it was a whole bunch of women. Yeah. Those were the victims. So dumb. We're dumb. Okay. So then we jump to Ghost Josh, and he's been trying to get hold of Renee.
Playing the piano.
Yeah, he's playing the piano, the song that Renee wrote for him.
Scratch.
And
Hair.
stop. And she realizes that it's the song that when she plays it for the physical Josh, he doesn't recognize it, and she's starting to figure out that it's not Josh. So we're trying to figure out why Elise led them to this old man Parker's house, and Carl figures out that the ghost wasn't Elise; it was the lady in white, the mother of Parker Crane. And they find a secret room, like behind a pantry or something, and in the secret room,
shelf.
there is a whole bunch of dead bodies sitting in like rows on like pews, and they're covered in sheets because Parker Crane was a serial killer apparently. And then we also see the bride in black costume. That is the old lady's costume when you see her in the pictures of Josh when he was a kid, and when he came back out of it, when Elise took his picture before she died, it was the old woman in black. And they figure out that Parker was dressing as the bride in black, which, again, if you have a serial killer, it obviously makes them scarier if you put them in a dress. No, that's bad transvisibility, and you need to do better. So I'm so angry about that.
That's the reason for like this.
The low score comes from me is I'm mad. So
I gave it a 3. It was gonna be like a 4, 4.5. And
dude,
nope.
This movie came out in I think 2010, something like that. There is no excuse for that
2
garbage.
years old.
There's no excuse for it. I'm still mad. So, anyways, so when he would go to kill his victims, he would dress as the old woman. And Lorraine, she goes to the house and she tells Renee what's going on, and she stops because the boys are at their babysitter's house and Callie's in the car with Renee.
You
And
forgot to say Lorraine was with them, with Specs and Tucker.
yeah, Lorraine and Carl, because they all went together.
Yeah.
Lorraine talks to Renee and she says they're going to sedate Josh because they all know that Josh has the old lady now. And Josh talks
old
to
man.
They decide, yeah, he's the old man, I guess, not the old lady. Do better, Hollywood. My God. So they're trying to set it up so Carl's going to go in there and sedate him, and then they're going to try and save him. I don't know. But
What's going on with Josh and the...
Josh was with Elise.
Well, yeah, he goes to find Elise. Oh, wait, this is... Oh, I know. When they're trying to... Yeah, that's after
what's coming
this.
up.
Yeah,
They talk
that's what I was saying.
quesadilla.
The code word, Rochambeau.
Yeah,
Take me, Rochambeau.
they're sending Carl, and Specs and Tucker have wired him up, and they send him in, and they're like, the code word is quesadilla.
No, and then Specs is like unicorn, and then they end up on quesadilla.
Yeah, so they end up with
Quesadilla time.
And so so Carl goes in there, and Josh is there, and Josh looks terrible. Josh looks like he is like dead. And they both figure out what the other one wants to do. And Josh says, what you got there in your hands? Because he knows he's got the needle, the sedation needle in his hands. And Carl's like, my dice?
Carl's like,
Yeah, he says it's his dice.
He doesn't say, oh yeah, his dice.
Oh no, because Josh says, did you bring your dice?
Mom says you like playing
Mother.
Mother says you like playing with
dice. And Carl realizes he's talking to Parker Crane instead. And
he's about, and it's like,
he's holding something behind his back.
And it's like, what's behind your back?
He's like, why don't you roll the dice and find out? So he rolls the dice.
No, first he's like, what is Josh? He's like, wait. And then he stops his Parker
have behind his back.
And then the face on Parker Josh's face when he says that.
And then he rolls a dice.
And it says kniff.
Knife.
Kniff. It says kniff.
So he pulls out, Carl pulls out the syringe, and Parker pulls out the
Knife.
Stop saying knife.
Knife.
It was funny the first time. Stop.
Knife.
He pulls out the knife and then they start struggling, and I think Carl gets stabbed. Something happens to Carl because we think he's dead.
Gets knocked out.
What happened to your eye?
Cat.
When?
You hear her yelling over there?
Yes.
Yeah. That's the cat. It's getting up close. Right there.
So it's quesadilla time, and Specs and
No, he's getting strangled. That's what happened.
Quesadilla.
Quesadilla.
Specs and Tucker come running in, and
They
all start fighting with Parker.
Somehow Parker wins. Specs, no.
And then
and somehow, what's his face? Specs and
Tucker?
Tucker.
Jeez.
Tucker's a big dude.
Tucker's big.
And he's still lost.
And they text Lorraine and they text Lorraine and say that Josh is ready, come over. And so Lorraine and Renee come back to the house, and Josh attacks them. They come back to the house and Josh attacks them. Yeah. The babysitter drops off the boys.
We keep forgetting it's Josh. Real Josh.
Yeah. Real Josh
is now
no, because now once Carl's down, now he finds Carl.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, we skipped that part. All right, so Josh, actual Josh, is going to Carl's house. Carl? Yeah, Carl.
Elisa's
Parker.
house? Oh, Parker's house.
Parker's house.
No, he doesn't go to Parker's house until
because
Dalton shows him.
Oh, yeah. Heck you. Stab.
So he finds Carl, and does he remember him from when he was little? When they helped him when he was a little boy with
No.
with Parker?
No.
No. And then they find Elise, I think, somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
Where did they find Elise?
I thought he already found Elise. Or, oh yeah, they're like calling for Elise.
Yeah.
Darkness noises.
Okay.
They're in the dark calling
Anyways,
for
Parker,
Elise.
Carl, and Elise are wandering through the further, and what else?
Here, we're like out of focus right now. Alright. Yeah.
And
Did that work?
no, I don't know what else happens. I'm out of it.
Well, we should cut so we could turn that on. So annoying.
I don't.
Alright, so they're in the darkness. They don't have Elise yet. And Carl's like, there's someone right in front of you, and then Josh doesn't see
He
it.
doesn't see him at all.
It's scary. It shows it, and it's like, creepy.
He doesn't see him, and the guy is like this close to him, and he's yelling.
He's got your baby. He's got your baby. He's got your baby.
And he's pointing. And it's the first house that they moved into in Insidious.
Yeah.
And it was the night that the door, they heard a knock on the door, and then they go downstairs and there's nothing there. And then Renee goes into the baby's room, and there's a guy in the baby's room.
And then Josh runs upstairs, and then the alarm goes off. I said so. In that scene, I said, what if it's Josh going through the door as a joke? Because we watched like the Haunting of Hill House and stuff, and there's weird time travel stuff. And it was.
It was Josh doing that.
Because Josh had to get through because he's trying to save his
future astral projecting Josh was haunting them.
He's trying to save him from that big guy.
So they ran into Elise, and me and Phin cannot figure out where he ran into Elise.
They're just looking for her. They're running through the house and stuff, and they find Elise somewhere.
And Elise says, well, they say we need to find out where the old woman lives.
And she's like, I know someone.
We don't know. And Josh is like, you made me forget, so I don't know. And she's like, I know somebody who does know, and it's young Josh.
Yeah, and they go back to young Josh, and that's why he's in there.
And he points to the door.
Well, first he's like, I'll show you. And then Elise is like, that's what that was about.
Yeah, and then the door opens because they opened it.
And then they go down
go downstairs, but it looks like a ghost opens it the first time you see it around.
Well, a ghost did open it.
Them.
They are ghosts.
Yeah. So
Basically.
they go down into the basement and it ends up going into Parker Crane's house because there's a red door and everything.
Yeah.
And they go to Parker Crane's house, and what happens at Parker's house?
Oh yeah, they go to that. They go up to Parker's room.
They go to Parker's room and discover that Parker's mom had been making him dress like a girl when he was little because she wanted a girl and not a boy. And so this child abuse was going on, and that made him a serial killer, cross-dressing serial killer apparently. And they fight the ghosts.
Yeah. And then, well, they go into the room with the victims.
But while this is going on, Dalton and Foster get dropped off by their babysitter, and they walk in and see their dad is attacking their mom.
And strangling her. And we forgot to mention, what's her face?
Lorraine.
Lorraine was locked in the bathroom.
Room. Look at
And
the camera when you're talking.
I'm looking at you and your notes.
Okay, go on.
And they're strangling, and then freaking Dalton is the one with the baseball bat and just whacks him.
His dad, yeah. And she takes the kids and they run down into the basement and lock themselves in the basement, and he's trying to get through.
Yeah.
And Dalton decides he's going to go astral projecting looking for his dad. He goes astral projecting looking for his dad. His dad defeats...
He has the thing so that his mom can talk.
Yeah. His dad defeats the woman in black and the woman in white.
Defeats the woman in white.
Defeats the woman in white, so that makes the woman in black go away, right? Because she was the...
She's like, the woman in black was in Josh's body, was about to kill Dalton. He made it in there and stuff by breaking like walls and stuff. He was about to just with a hammer onto Dalton, and then it shows Josh taking out the woman in white,
who is the woman in black's mother, Parker Crane's mother.
And then he just like falls and stuff, and then Dalton takes him back and he gets in his body, and it's him. Yay.
Right. Yay. And that is the end of the Lambert tale, apparently, because the third movie does not have anything to do with the Lamberts.
Really?
It's a flashback to when Elise started doing all of this, so it's a prequel. So it was okay. Like I said, I don't like the misrepresentation of the trans community in this movie. I'm very upset with them, and so that gets 2.5 stars from me.
3, because the rest was pretty good.
Yeah, the rest was pretty good. It was a little scary, but I really liked the callbacks to the first movie and some explanations to the first movie. So that was fun. I'm not sure if I have enough room to talk about the Haunting of Bly Manor. We did watch the Haunting of Bly Manor, which is...
Well, there's not much to talk about.
Yeah, we don't want to ruin anything, but we want to talk about how we feel about it right now.
Yeah.
Mike Flanagan is doing, who did The Haunting of Hill House, is doing The Haunting of Bly Manor. And Victoria Pedretti, who played Nell in the first series, Oliver Jackson Cohen, who played the Invisible Man, and her brother Luke in the first series, and Henry Thomas are all back. And so is Carla Gugino. She's played the mom in The Haunting of Hill House, and she's the narrator for this one. This is a retelling of the Turn of the Screw by Henry James, written in 1888. It takes place in 1987 in Essex, England. And Carla Gugino is in 2007 telling this story about what happened in the 80s at Bly Manor. And Danny is a pretty young American girl who is living abroad in England and wants to take on this position as a nanny governess for an ad that's been in the paper for about 6 months. Like, nobody wants to fill this position. So when she talks to Henry Thomas's character, who is their uncle, he's like, "What's the catch? You're young, you're pretty. Why do you want to, spend your time with these 2 kids in the middle of nowhere? Because they're problem children, and now they're going to be your problem." And she's like, "Okay, well, you tell me what the catch is. Why has there been this ad up for 6 months?" So he ends up hiring her. She has a bit of spectrophobia. I think she sees things in mirrors. She covers them constantly. You see them covered in her hostel room, and
it looks like there's someone with her all the time.
Yeah.
Bright glasses. I'm like, is that another? Because she was a teacher. So it seems something happened.
The first episode deals with her moving into the manor. She meets the kids, Flora and Miles, and the housekeeper, Mrs. Gross, the cook, who is Owen, and the groundskeeper, who I didn't catch her name. I think it was Jamie. I'm not sure.
I don't know, I'm bad with names.
But they are there with the 2 children, and they're raising them on their own in this English countryside. It's a little bit spooky. The kids are weird. The little girl has a thing for dolls.
There's this one creepy doll without a face.
Yeah, and Miles is kind of a creep. It's really good so far, and we look forward to watching the 2nd episode tonight, and we will get back to you to see if it's still going pretty good. It wasn't as scary as the 1st episode of Haunting of Hill House, though. But do check out Haunting of Bly Manor on Netflix, and let us know what you think in the comments. Please don't spoil anything for us if you guys decide to go ahead, because we are doing 1 episode a day. So
Yep.
thank you, and see you guys tomorrow. Everybody go vote.
Like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.